What should we stop teaching young children? That zero tolerance policies, where you get detention because someone punched you in the back of the head, make any ducking sense? I've never even heard a valid argument for this. It's always you must have done something to incite this, like no. Some people are just assholes and you shouldn't be punished for their actions. The sole point of this is, and has always been, for school administrators to escape responsibility. LOL, yeah. I've even heard my teachers say it is dumb, but they still need to follow it because the school board doesn't want to deal with it. Can you imagine if someone were to key the principal's car and the principal got fined for it because he must have done something to incite it? That saying no is rude. I wanna teach my kid it's okay to refuse something or just say no without any reason. One of my friends has been working with her kids on Hear My No recently, and I thought it was so cool. If you want a kid to stop bugging you when you say no, you have to make sure they understand they can say no too, and that it's not a bad thing. Their worries and concerns are small or silly. Stop making them feel dumb or embarrassed for saying or doing something wrong. Most of all, that it's normal for mom or dad to post those moments on their social media page. Just stop. How about posting your child's entire life on social media in general? It's gross and has a lot further of a reach than it used to. In 2008 my mom had a blog that was mainly shared with her best friends and posted constant pictures and stories of us kids that can still be found by googling our names. This was before mainstream social media and I can only imagine how much worse it is. I'm lucky that my mom never posted any videos of me having a tantrum or anything, but it's still a violation of your child's privacy. That they are not obligated to be friends with people if they don't want to. I'm a teacher and I've used different language about this with my elementary age students. When I have kids together that don't get along, I tell them you don't have to be friends with anyone you don't want, but you should try and be friendly to everyone. I get there are certain situations and people that don't call for friendliness, but overall I like the message behind trying to treat others with a friendly attitude. I'm at the HS level and use the same logic with my seniors. Like, you may not get along with a teacher, but you still have to work with them. So what gets you closer to your goals? Responding disrespectfully or just being proactive and friendly doesn't mean they win. It means you're more likely to win. Then you pass the class and they leave your life. That everyone is your friend. It's not true. I had to tell my 9-year-old niece that sometimes people aren't going to like her and it's just how it is. This broke her heart because there's a boy in her class who doesn't like her and she's been trying to win him over. She's so sweet and I hated having to tell her that. You can be the juiciest, sweetest peach in the whole wide world and there are still going to be people who don't like peaches. To finish the food on your plate if you're not still hungry. No, don't waste food. Save leftovers if you can. Agree. Better yet, teach them to put small portions on their plate, and if they are still hungry, they can have more. This way they learn portion control and not to waste food. That you can't disrespect adults, but they can disrespect you. That they are more special than other kids. It's a recipe for future entitled adults. That adults know what they are doing and have it all figured out. It's more of the impression of it, but they need to know that it's okay to not know what you're doing, so they don't freak out towards the end of high school and after it. Edit, thanks for the award. I believe it's my first. It was very alarming when I first realized my parents were making it up as they went along. My dad is humble about it. My mom still tries to pretend she has all the answers. You can guess which one of them adult me speaks more openly with. That just because someone's older doesn't mean they are right. For real. Some of the dumbest people I know are older than me. A friend who's about 5 years older than me is pretty stupid at times, but very kind at heart. People make mistakes regardless of age, so I agree with this. That if someone is picking on them it means they like them. Gonna set them up for a lot of problems later in life. Edit, my first award. Thanks. Adults are always right. Incorrect. Adults may have more common sense or more wisdom, but they are not always correct. They make mistakes. As a teacher, I occasionally misspell words or make a mistake on a math problem on purpose. When I'm called out on it, I very casually acknowledge my mistake, something like whoops, you're right. It's 4, not 3. Nice catch. Just to show that it's okay to make mistakes. I've noticed it makes some students more comfortable with asking for help. If they've seen me make a mistake, it's okay for their work not to be perfect the first time around either. Respect doesn't come automatically with age. It must always be earned through respectful behavior. The way I like to look at it is that everyone deserves and receives a base level of respect. A starting point, if you will. That is the same for everyone regardless of their age, gender and all other life components over which they have no control. My respect for you will then go up or down depending on your actions. That is those things over which you do have control. You can't be held accountable for things you can't change, and your dignity and other people's respect for you should not depend on those things. You certainly can and should earn or lose respect based on your genuine life choices. However, that not wanting to hug someone is rude. I have 4 nieces and see this happen to them a lot. The youngest one doesn't always remember me. Her older sisters give me hugs with delight and I always tell the youngest to hug me when she's okay with it. I hate hugging people when I don't want to, so I'm not gonna subjugate her to something no one can stand. It's so freaking weird. My nephew little sister's son was taught to kiss on the lips. I always felt uncomfortable about it as my family were only huggers. Even then he's told by my sister to give me a hug. I'd always tell him I'm leaving. If he doesn't want to give me a hug, that is definitely okay. I might be sad. That's okay. Then I smile. I say goodbye and head out. I basically try to be that adult I needed growing up. Edit, maybe I should clarify with them that I'll be sad and others may be sad that they don't get hugs. But that's okay. They're not there to please others. It's what they feel comfortable doing. I should also note that sometimes I ask for a high five and they don't want to do that. I just tell them that's okay and we move on. Or if I'm leaving I just say goodbye again, leave. Noted. Try to change bad things and give kids body autonomy. And yet people still attack what I do. Jeez. Stop making them share everything for the sake of sharing. Teach them to set healthy boundaries. Teach them about donations and charity. Teach them sharing and moderation. Teach them why we share. But damn it, stop forcing them to do it all the time, because that's what kids are supposed to do. To be ashamed when they're wrong. People should be thrilled to learn they're wrong, because it's an opportunity to learn. Instead we shame politicians who flip-flop on issues. Even if they switch their opinions from something like man-woman marriage to a stance of gay rights support. Then we wonder why people straight up deny they're wrong, even when you pile a mountain of evidence in front of their dumb faces. Sharing is caring. Sure, in some instances. But I've seen kids get mad because another child doesn't want to share their favorite toy they brought to the park. Hitting someone doesn't mean they like you. It's almost encouraged, and I think gives people warped views on affection as they get older. That the good guys will always win in the end. Gravity. Let them figure it out on their own. To not give up on somebody you're romantically interested in. No means no, and while they might give you another chance later on, if you keep bugging them it quickly turns into harassment. One thing that kind of hit me as a teacher is the typical conversation you have with younger kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? Is such a common question, but feels like it implies that they are the job they do and that's the most important thing that they will have or do. My husband got a call from the school last year about our 15 male freshmen. He was asked by a teacher what he wanted to do for a career, and he said flipping burgers sounded fine. He's 15. Teacher flipped out. He doesn't know what he wants to do yet, and we are not pushing college on him either. There are good technical schools in our area if he decides to do one of those professions. But my goodness, let kids be kids. I remember asking my older cousin what he wanted to be when he grew up, when I was like 8, and he was about that age, 14 or 15 or so. He said he wanted to be a garbage man. I was like, what? Why? I remember being taken aback because that was the last thing I ever thought I'd hear from someone. Especially my cousin. He was a Kiss devotee and also into old punk and skateboarding. with a really cool G.I. Joe collection. A garbage man. He shrugged. They have really good benefits and you get to work for the city and you get a pension. And you drive around all day and everyone leaves you alone. Huh, okay then. Now he restores antique vehicles and is really good at it. That the majority opinion is always right, while the minority opinion is always wrong. This will just create a conformist who doesn't think for themselves, but merely follows the popular opinion and kids themselves that it comes from their own thinking. Teach children to think for themselves and question things. I think we should stop teaching them basically that they don't have any autonomy over their own bodies. Like telling them they have to hug and kiss someone, even if they are uncomfortable with it, and stuff like that. I think that ultimately leads to a very bad message about consent. If they are uncomfortable with someone touching them, I think it's generally a good idea to listen and respect that, and reinforce that they have the right to say no to being touched if they don't want to be touched. That some things are fun and others aren't. That some foods are tasty and others are healthy. Let kids decide for themselves what they like. Maybe I would have actually enjoyed broccoli and math earlier than college if I hadn't been told as a child that I was expected to hate both of them. Ever since my kids were born, I've acted like broccoli is a super special delicious treat. You get to eat broccoli for dinner. Lucky. And maybe it's just coincidence, but they are toddlers now and both loved broccoli. It helps that I also loved broccoli. Being the bigger person means forgiving those who cause you damage. I think it's bullshit. Why do victims need to forgive the ones who harmed them and that's considered maturity? As a bullying victim, I don't see why I should say, hey bully, I forgive you for making me miserable. Like, no, you pushed me to a meltdown when I was 12 and caused my trust issues which led to me becoming an insecure, depressive little shit 7 years later. I don't see why any kind of perpetrators deserve forgiveness for long-term damage the victims of their actions have to deal with. Cute names for their private parts. That just seems weird. If something was happening to them and they told someone that another person touched their flower or something like that, whoever they tell might not necessarily know what that means. Normalize vagina, penis, vulva, nipples, etc. When I was teaching, they discussed that it's okay for kids to call their private parts by their proper names and gave an example as to why. A little girl told her teachers that daddy put his fingers in her purse. Of course, they didn't think anything of it. Purse was the cutest name for her vagina. Yeah, kids shouldn't be disciplined for called their vaginas and penises by the proper names. I don't think anyone's directly teaching this to children, but I know a lot of stories do this. Good people get good things. Bad people get bad things. Good wins. Bad loses. Well, first of all, it's not easy to determine who's good or bad. Second of all, life. It does not give a damn about you or anything. It does what it does. Sometimes bad gets good and good gets bad. If someone is mean to you, be nice to them. Kids should know that if someone is mean to you, you don't have to become a doormat for them. A lot of people see this as kids being nicer. It's really just teaching kids it's okay to be stepped all over by someone else and that you should just suck it up, which is definitely not a healthy mindset. Slightly off topic, but I swear this is where my social anxiety and agoraphobia comes from. If your kid plays up in public, please stop saying, "That man is laughing at you," or "That man is coming over to tell you off." I think we need to stop teaching children that boys aren't supposed to cry. We should stop teaching a one-sided view of history. Textbooks often paint many wars as a good versus evil story when in reality it's much more complicated. That bullies have been the victim of something, so that is why they bully. Sometimes, little Jimmy or little Jane is just a dick.